first off, give Florida State credit. They played really well, and they got a really good team and a lot of good players. Well coached, and so give Florida State a credit on that. Secondly, with our team, besides 2 games last year and 1 game this year, we've always battled and competed, even when it looks like things are getting out of hand. We've always found a way to fight and get ourselves back in striking range. Just there's been some times we haven't been able to get over the hump. But this is year 2 of a major rebuild, and as I've told everyone that's heard me, I've always said year 2 is going to be the hardest year of them all. And so we just got to keep grinding and staying the course and keep getting better. And we got to stop turning the ball over. The way to win in the ACC when you're at a point, where we're at in a major rebuild, you just don't turn the ball over and make free throws. And turnovers has been our Achilles heel. And today I was trying to turn it over, you just coming out. But moving forward, we're just going to have to do it no matter what the situation is. Any turnover, you just got to come right out in the first half just automatically, unless it's obviously a shot clock violation, a team turnover. Otherwise, that's what we were trying to do today a little bit, but we just got to be even more direct about that moving forward. But because that's our biggest Achilles heel right now, is just these turnovers are killing us. They had 17 points in our off of our turnovers in the first half. 24 for the game, but with those 10 turnovers in the first half, they had 17 points off of those. That's the difference right there. 16 turnovers, and you just can't do that. You got to handle the ball. But where we're at, we're a young team. We're trying to build, and we're just this is part of the process of our rebuild job.
Josh, when you guys get a team like Florida State and they get a hot player like Terrence Mann tonight,
he was terrific tonight.
Did you try to readjust defense? Or
well, obviously he didn't come in scoring like that, and he had obviously with 30, we had 21 the first half. He was just kicking our butt, and a lot of it was straight line drives. He's a high level player, so you got to give him credit. He was on, and with that being said, we could have withstood all that, just like we could have withstood many games this year. Some of these deficiencies, and you look here. If we don't turn the ball over, I'm just telling you, to win in the ACC, you don't turn the ball over and you make free throws. And like we versus Notre Dame, our first loss, we didn't turn the ball over, but we were 7 of 18 from the free throw line. And versus Virginia, 16 turnovers. Versus tonight, 16 turnovers. North Carolina, or 18 turnovers versus Virginia. 15 turnovers versus North Carolina. We could survive having 30 if we don't turn the ball over.
Is that something you can change in coaching?
We do we emphasize a part of it. We're relying on a freshman. We got 1 point guard. We're relying on him to play basically 40 minutes, and that's not an easy thing to do in the ACC. So we're relying on that, and so it's a. But this is why it's a rebuild, and it's just going to take us a little time until we get multiple recruiting classes in. But our next phase of that is I'm just going to. You turn it over in the first half, automatically out. You just got to come out, and then we'll have to have the musical chairs, and hopefully that'll be our next. Try to see if that works.
Coach, you come into tonight 18th in the country in 2-point field goal percentage defense,
and we were best in the ACC in 3-point defense.
And it seemed like Florida State was just able to get to the rim, especially in the first half.
I was really disappointed on our defense tonight in the first half, especially. But let me say this. We've spent the last 2.5 days, Monday, Tuesday, all of our practices really, but Monday, Tuesday, and then today's shoot around, just guarding, focusing on defense, and we've been really good. We were an elite defensive team last year. That's part of the reason we beat Florida State last year. It was all through our defense, and we were becoming a pretty good defensive team, but tonight we weren't real good, and part of that's the turnovers. Because they were getting to the lane on the straight line drives, but a lot of it's just those turnovers. You don't allow your defense to get set, and when you're this is part of the maturation process of our youth, and especially our point guard being a freshman. The turnover, he just gets down, and we got to move on to the next play, and this is just part of him growing and learning. But they hurt us on a lot of straight line drives. There was one where Brandon Allen came in and drove a straight line. There in the first half on Todrick Jackson. We just can't have that. Or man straight line drove Josh Okogie. We just can't have that. Or man 25 straight line drove Ben Lammers. I always talk about 5 guys have to guard the basketball. It can't be 1 guy. We've got to have the floor shrunk and compact, and the opponent has to see bodies. And tonight, we were leaving guys on an island, and that's just bad defense.
It seemed to me, particularly, I mean, even after makes, you were having a hard time stopping the ball.
I really felt we were of all our games this year defensively, this was the one game where I felt we were very individualized defensively. Ken, I just felt we didn't shrink the floor. 5 guys weren't guarding the basketball. You know, and that's what happens. We're not in a position where we can be that extended, and we got extended, and we weren't playing team defense. We were playing individualized defense, and that's a recipe for disaster.
I'm curious, Jose, I imagine he took some shots you weren't a little excited about, but then he makes a couple of them in the second half. How do you?
You're going to have to live with some. I mean, he's our point guard. You know, so that's what we're going with. And so there's going to be some mistakes with him on a shot selection, and it drives you up the wall. But that's just part of it's going to be his maturation, and that's part of our rebuild as we're trying to rebuild the program. You're going to have to live with some things with him because we're investing into him for the long haul.
But I think like he also made some shots.
No, I mean, but
Probably
he's a tough, hard-nosed kid.
Yeah.
I mean, young man, and so he takes some bad ones, but he's gonna make some, and it's just part of the maturation process, Ken, for him to, you know, he's playing basically 40 minutes in the ACC as a freshman, and you don't have, you know, we're not having a backup. I mean, it's just him.
that 3 by goal after you got the stop.
That was big.
Yeah.
That was the nail in the coffin right there.
And
that
it seemed
corner
like
3, yeah.
the whole way in the second half you get down to 6, 7, 8.
It was very similar to North Carolina on Saturday. We got right in with 5, and then 7, and then back to 5, 7, 8. We just could not get over the top. And, you know, we'd have a turnover here and turnover there, and, you know. But Josh Okogie had 16 boards. We were much better on the defensive glass. Ken, you know, Florida State was, I think, ranked 10th in offensive rebounding efficiency. So we did a good job, you know, limiting them to 1 shot. But it just comes down to turnovers.